Let's talk a little Dolphins, a little Tua by extension. As we know, Tua Tagovailoa went 5th overall in the draft here. And current starter Ryan Fitzpatrick helped the team to a surprising 5-win season. And obviously, gained a lot of equity in the locker room. Guys like playing with him. He's tough. He puts his pads down. He makes plays somehow despite looking like a guy who doesn't physically belong out there most of the time. But now Fitzmagic is expected to mentor and groom Tua. Joe Burrow's going to likely start right away with Justin Herbert and Jordan Love sitting behind starters who are hesitant to relinquish their roles in their spots. In or out, Tua is in the best position to find long-term success than his other 2020 rookie quarterbacks.
I'm going to say inbounds of this, BT. One, because of having Fitzmagic in front of him. But two, Chan Gailey is his new offensive coordinator. Jim Caldwell is there as well, who's had a lot of success. So there's an old school veteran presence around Tua that's going to help him learn a lot. And then you compare it to the other situations. Justin Herbert, who's also has a vet in front of him, and Tyrod Taylor, but it's a different kind of vet. They fired Ken Whisenhunt at the end of the season. This is the Chargers. And they have a brand new rookie offensive coordinator that he's learning on the job, and I think it's going to be a little bit tough for them. Joe Burrow, the team was really bad. Now they've improved, but Zach Taylor still got to prove himself, and Brian Caldwell is only in his second year or third year in a major position as a quarterback coach or coordinator. He's their coordinator. And then LaFleur and Hackett. We know how that is out in Green Bay. I mean, Aaron Rodgers said all the right things, but I'm not sure it's going to be right for Jordan Love. So I'm going to say, yeah, I think this is inbounds. Tua's in a really good situation with Fitz and that staff down there.
I agree. Easy inbounds for me. Ascending franchise, amenable starter in terms of doing the right thing, amenable to doing the right thing, I should say. And of course, Fitzpatrick wants to play. He's a fierce competitor, but. And the last thing he said was, if it's the other way around, I'll do the right thing, and I believe him. Some people you believe, some you don't. I think we all believe Fitzpatrick when he says that. And here's the other thing, too, and think about what some of the quarterbacks from the last couple of years have gone through. Darnold, second year, new coach. Baker, new coach, second year. Unless, I don't really care what happens with Miami this year. I am a huge Flores believer.
I agree.
So Flores will be back. So they'll be, even if they underachieve, whatever their level of underachievement would be perceived to be. So no matter what, as Tua comes back for year 2, it's going to be the same head coach, the same message, and the same system. That's advantageous. Anthony Lynn, let's face it, I mean, there's been whispers a little bit now, and I think he's a fine coach, but if they were to bomb this year, I don't think it's a guarantee he comes back. I don't think it's a guarantee, nor should it be, that Zach Taylor comes back if the Bengals scuffle and they don't show any sort of progress or hope. So those quarterbacks could be going into year 2 with new systems and new voices. I'm with you. Easy. Inbounds. Good spot for Tua. Melvin Gordon can still be, if you consider him a top 10, can still be a top 10 running back in the NFL.
I mean, he could, but I'm going to say out of bounds because he's not going to get the opportunities there. So it's out of bounds to me. Phillip Lindsay is such a dynamic player for the Denver Broncos. They love him up there. Running back situations get divided in so many places. There's only a handful that it's not the case. So I'm going to say out of bounds. Not that I don't like Melvin Gordon as a player, but he's just not going to get 350 carries this year. So he's never going to crack the top 10.
Lindsey did not play as well as they thought he would last year, coming back off the previous year. I'm not saying he's not going to get a chance to get the ball a little bit this year, but your point's taken. It could cut into Melvin's production. The truth of the matter is, I'm going to say out of bounds, too. I don't think he can be at this point. I agree. If you just were dumped into the football world and he said, let's see, who's this guy? Let me look up his stats. I know his stats are everything. Let me look up his stats. All right, going into year number 6, he's had one 1,000-yard season. Okay. He's never been particularly prolific catching the football.
Nope.
His first year, he didn't score a single touchdown despite starting 13 games. Really, he's not a top 10 now.
Yeah.
He's just not. So that's another pretty easy one. I'm going to say out of bounds. He's not a top 10. Before the shutdown, the Jazz sat 4th in the West behind the Lakers, Clippers, and Nuggets. Now, Bogdanovic, a little bit of bad news. I don't think we mentioned this yesterday, but this was from yesterday news. Actually, they got some bad news. Their second leading scorer, somebody who could stretch it, Bogdanovic here, will have wrist surgery. He'll miss the rest of the season. So if it ever even starts back up, he's 31. He's not a kid. He's been around for a little bit. Good player. He's averaging 20 points a game after signing a 4-year, $70+ million deal last summer. Here's the question, Tiki. In or out? The Jazz were title contenders with a trio of Mitchell, Gobert, and Bogdanovic. In or out?
I'm going to say out of bounds of that, BT, and it's really nothing to do with their skills or how they've developed over the last couple of years, but the Lakers were playing dominant basketball, and the Clippers hadn't even gotten close to their full potential yet. So I don't know if they're getting out of the West this season. Now, next year, maybe, depending on what happens with age and everything else with the Lakers and chemistry with the Clippers, even though I doubt that's going to change much. But next year, potentially. This year, I'm going to say out of bounds.
I see it the exact opposite. I'm reacting to the circumstances of this year. My answer is inbounds. I would have given them a shot, and if they do come back, I will give them a shot. Provided Mitchell's recovered fully, and I'm sure he is from COVID-19, and Gobert. If Bogdanovic was there, I would have given them a real shot. Because think about this. Young legs win out. Now, Bogdanovic's wheels aren't particularly young. As I said before, he's 31. Yeah. But, the inactivity, the rust, this is the uncharted territory. So nobody really knows what's going to win out this return when they return to the court. I was going to say, this June, but who knows? It's probably going to be way past then.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, when he's on, is electric. And Gobert is bouncy and has been around for a little bit, but he's still relatively young. Covers a lot of space. He's quick-footed for a 7'1" player. So because I don't know what to expect from the other teams, sometimes, youthfulness, that exuberance could win out in a rare situation. Now, next year, no. Golden State's back. Dallas Mavericks, they bring one guy in with Doncic and KP and their head coach, Rick Carlisle. That changes everything. Who knows what the Thunder do if they add an interesting piece or whatever they continue to add to that. I like Denver, and I always have. I think Denver's right there. A lot of people don't believe that. I do. I believe they're right next to, like, a tick behind the Lakers and a tick behind the Clippers. And in a 7-game series, a tick, it could go the other way. This year I would have said yes. Next year I'll say no. All right, Alex Bregman had a big-time 2019 season. As we know, he was second in the MVP voting. He bombed 41 jacks, had 112 RBIs here, Teague, but was also embroiled in the Astros sign-stealing scandal. Now, John Heyman reports that Bregman is leaving his agency, which is Clutch Sports. All right, and he learned about LeBron's. Well, first of all, I should tell you that Clutch Sports is founded by LeBron and his buddy, his close friend Rich Paul. So after learning that LeBron's media company, which is Uninterrupted, is producing a documentary about the scandal. So Bregman's probably sitting there saying, what's going on? I'm part of the family, and you guys are putting this out against somebody who's in the family? So Clutch Sports allowing their main client to produce a documentary ripping another client is inbounds or out of bounds?
I'm going to say inbounds of this, BT, because what the hell could Clutch Sports say? LeBron James wants to produce a documentary. He's going to produce a documentary. And we also don't know how negative it's going to be. It could be complimentary of the Astros. I mean, who knows? We don't know.
It's the worst. Then LeBron stick to basketball.
I think it's going to show every side of it. And if it's as long as it's fair, I think that Alex Bregman can't really say anything because he knows what he did. Right? They all know what they did. And the only thing you can ask for at this point is fairness, and that's what you hope LeBron does, producing this doc.
Well, yeah, I hope he's fair, too, and I hope he exposes the Astros for the cheats and the frauds that they are. That's the fair way to do it. If not, he failed miserably putting this documentary together. He'll do the right thing. To answer the question, I think it's inbound. What this tells me is that the baseball player just doesn't have the kind of juice that an NFL or an NBA player might have. If it was somebody from another sport, somebody else in the NBA of prominence or somebody in the NFL of prominence, they would have had more say, more influence. And this probably, it may have gone from, a concept that was born. I don't know that it comes to fruition. Yeah, I really don't know. I think it may have been left on the cutting room floor in particular. But it's also not just about Alex Bregman. It's about the entire team. So he's a spoke in the wheel. Granted, an important one, a big one, a visible one, a prominent one. But it's about the Astros. It's not like it's, the Alex Bregman scandal. Altuve's in there, and the GM, Lunau, and Hinch, and everybody else. So I'm going to say inbounds. Business is business until it's not. And this seems like relatively fair business. I'm okay with that.